Odysseus, the Odyssey, the long way home, the man of many turns. The Trojan War was over. The great city had fallen, thanks to the wooden horse, a trick devised by the wiliest of all Greeks, King Odysseus of Ithaca. While other heroes died, like Achilles, or returned home quickly, like Agamemnon, only to be murdered, Odysseus faced a different fate. He was destined to wander. He is known as Polytropos, the man of many turns or many ways. He is not the strongest, but he is the smartest. He just wanted to go home to his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, whom he had left as a baby. But the gods had other plans. His journey began with a mistake. After leaving Troy, he and his men raided the city of Ismarus. They stayed too long, drinking wine, allowing the survivors to call for backup. Many of Odysseus's men were killed. It was the first lesson. Greed leads to death. They were then blown off course to the land of the lotus eaters. The locals gave his men intoxicating lotus flowers to eat. Those who ate them lost all memory of home and wanted only to stay and eat the flowers forever. Odysseus had to drag his weeping men back to the ships and tie them down to save them from an eternity of apathy. The Eye of the Cyclops. Their next stop was the island of the Cyclops, giant one-eyed shepherds. Odysseus and his men found a cave filled with cheese and sheep. They waited for the owner, hoping for hospitality. The owner was Polyphemus, a son of Poseidon. When he returned, he rolled a massive boulder over the entrance, trapping them. He showed no hospitality. Instead, he snatched 2 of Odysseus's men and ate them raw. Odysseus could not kill the giant while he slept, or they would be trapped inside forever. No one else could move the stone. So he devised a plan. He offered the giant strong wine. When Polyphemus asked his name, Odysseus replied, "My name is Nobody, Utis." The giant drank until he passed out. Odysseus took a sharpened olive stake, heated it in the fire, and drove it into his single eye, blinding him. Polyphemus screamed for help. "Nobody is hurting me! Nobody is killing me!" The other Cyclops outside thought he was crazy or sick and walked away. When morning came, Polyphemus opened the cave to let his sheep out, feeling their backs to ensure no men were escaping. Odysseus and his men tied themselves under the bellies of the sheep and slipped out. But as they sailed away, Odysseus's pride got the better of him. He shouted back, "Cyclops, if anyone asks who blinded you, tell them it was Odysseus of Ithaca." Polyphemus prayed to his father Poseidon to curse Odysseus. Poseidon heard him. He vowed that Odysseus would wander for 10 years, lose all his men, and return home a broken man. The Witch and the Dead. The curse took hold. They faced disaster after disaster. They landed on the island of Aiaia, home of the sorceress Circe. She drugged Odysseus's men and turned them into pigs. Hermes helped Odysseus by giving him a magical herb, moly, to resist her magic. Odysseus subdued Circe, forcing her to turn his men back into humans. They stayed with her for a year as lovers. Circe told him that to get home, he must do the unthinkable, traveled to the underworld to seek the advice of the dead prophet Tiresias. Odysseus sailed to the edge of the world, to the land of mist and darkness. He dug a pit and poured blood sacrifices to summon the spirits. He saw the ghost of his own mother, Anticlea, who had died of grief waiting for him. He met the shade of Achilles, who told him that I would rather be a slave on earth than a king of all the dead. Tiresias gave him a warning. Do not eat the cattle of the sun god Helios. If you do, your ship will be destroyed, and only you will survive.
Between a rock and a hard place. Armed with this knowledge, Odysseus sailed on. He passed the Sirens, creatures whose songs lured sailors to crash against the rocks. Odysseus wanted to hear the song, but survive. He plugged his crew's ears with beeswax and had them tie him to the mast. He screamed and begged to be untied as the beautiful song drove him mad, but his loyal men rowed on until they were safe. Next came the impossible choice, Scylla and Charybdis. Scylla was a six-headed monster living in a cliff cave. Charybdis was a massive whirlpool that swallowed the sea. To sail too close to Charybdis meant losing the whole ship. To sail close to Scylla meant losing 6 men. Odysseus chose the lesser evil. He sailed near the cliff. Scylla swooped down and snatched 6 of his best men, devouring them while they screamed Odysseus's name. It was the most pitiable sight he ever saw. But the rest of the crew survived. But they were doomed. Stranded on the island of Thrinacia, starving, his men disobeyed orders and ate the sacred cattle of Helios while Odysseus slept. Zeus punished them. He sent a lightning bolt that destroyed the ship. Everyone drowned except Odysseus, who clung to a piece of driftwood. The prisoner of love. He washed ashore on the island of Ogygia, where the nymph Calypso lived. She fell in love with him and kept him prisoner for 7 long years. She offered him immortality if he would stay. But Odysseus sat on the shore every day, weeping, looking toward the sea, longing for his aging wife and his rocky island home. He chose mortality and suffering over an eternal paradise without his family. Finally, Athena intervened. Zeus sent Hermes to order Calypso to let him go. Odysseus built a raft and set sail once more. Poseidon tried to drown him one last time, shattering his raft, but with the help of a sea goddess, he washed up on the island of the Phaeacians. They heard his story and gave him a ship to finally take him home. The stringing of the bow. Odysseus arrived in Ithaca, disguised as an old beggar by Athena. He found his palace overrun by 108 suitors, arrogant nobles who were eating his food, sleeping with his maids, and pressuring Queen Penelope to marry one of them. They plotted to kill his son, Telemachus. Penelope, faithful for 20 years, devised a final contest. She brought out Odysseus's great hunting bow. "I will marry the man who can string this bow and shoot an arrow through the holes of 12 axe heads," she announced. One by one, the suitors tried. None could even bend the heavy bow. Then, the old beggar asked for a turn. The suitors mocked him, but Telemachus allowed it. Odysseus picked up the bow. He handled it effortlessly, like a musician handling a lyre. He strung it with a single motion. He plucked the string, and it sang like a swallow. He fired the arrow. It flew straight through all 12 axe heads. He tore off his rags. He stood tall. The king returned. "The contest is over," he roared. With Telemachus by his side, he slaughtered the suitors. The hall ran red with blood. He spared no one who had dishonored his house. Finally, he revealed himself to Penelope. She tested him one last time, asking the maid to move their bed. "No one can move that bed, for I carved one of its posts from a living olive tree still rooted in the ground." Penelope knew then it was truly him. The long journey was over. The king was home.